great to see you again.
Hey TC, it's always nice catching up with you.
So what does your job as a junior content editor entail?
It's more about editing digital content for online, mostly YouTube. So my main responsibilities are editing together certain videos for different children's channels, because I work in children's brands. Overall just maintaining the channel, like playlists, metadata, and then also trying to source different ideas and potentially different content that we could use for different channels and maybe even different shows entirely.
Why did you decide to become involved in editing for TV and digital?
I studied film and TV production at university, and whilst I was there I got a really good insight into all the aspects of post-production, and editing in particular really caught my eye. It really appealed to me, the idea that you can piece together all these different clips and scenes and different footage and sounds, and then you come up with a really nice final, well, hopefully a really nice final product at the end. And so I knew moving on from university that's exactly what I wanted to do.
When did you make a start in your career?
I mean, I started editing together fan-made music videos when I was about 15 or 16, but I wouldn't put any of them on my CV. I guess my proper career probably started in, I think, the end of my first year of university, where I basically emailed a lot of production companies and post-production houses in my area, just asking if they needed any, like, basically free labour for the summer, because I was desperate to get any sort of experience. And I was lucky enough that Clean Cut Media in Hampton got back to me, and I was only there for about 2 weeks, and all I did pretty much was tidy the storeroom, make drinks, and just sort of sit and chat to the editors whilst they worked. But from that quite small experience, it sort of cemented, like, okay, right, I want to be these people when I'm older.
What top 3 skills do you need to become a content editor?
I'd say the first skill you'll need is patience, because if you're editing footage together, there's often a lot of different softwares that you need to use, a lot of different file types you'll come across, and a lot of the time many big files to work with as well. So you have to sort of have the patience to sit there and methodically go through everything that you need, cut out what you don't need, and trying to come to terms with whenever Premiere Pro crashes and ruins your laptop. Another top skill that you'll need is attention to detail, because when you're editing something together, you have to focus on each individual frame, and it might be something very minor, just like a smudge on the lens at the top corner, or like it skips a frame, or something weird happens. But if you notice it, chances are all the audiences will notice it too. And it'll become really apparent that you weren't paying enough attention. So you sort of have to go through everything you make and, like, with a really sharp eye, pick out any details that isn't quite right. Third top skill you'll need is some form of appreciation for what you're actually editing together. Because, you know, if you end up with an editing job or something similar, you know, realistically you'll be sat there working with the same footage for, let's say, 8 hours a day. If you don't like what you're editing, or at least you can't appreciate what you're editing, it's going to drive you insane. And I happen to be quite lucky that I work on children's content. It's a lot of children's shows, so I work on Operation Ouch, Alphablocks, a bit of Number Blocks. I even work on the Sooty and Sweep show, which is very cute. So I'm able to have some fun with it, because I'm making all these sort of silly videos.
Who helped you?
I'd say BBC Studios helped me quite a lot, because I think in my second year of university, I was lucky enough to do a month-long sort of internship there, where I sort of just shadowed their YouTube team, and it definitely opened my eyes to the world of digital and online content only, instead of just like for films or TV, like sort of the world of like editing for YouTube, which is something I hadn't really considered before. And then I was lucky enough that a year later, when I had graduated16 I was able to go back and work for them full time, because they'd remembered me from the internship. Also, this wonderful organisation, 16 Days, 16 Films. It's a film festival, and it's run by women for women. Again, whilst at university, I just sort of entered just for the fun of it, not really thinking much of it. And then I was lucky enough to be one of the 16 finalists. and have my film shown at the Channel 4 headquarters, which I thought was just mind-blowing. I was not expecting anyone to actually get back to me about my film, so that was a huge confidence boost just personally for me as an editor. And I've tried to sort of take that forward in like my future projects. My university, Royal Holloway, and the film and TV production department, and for just sort of generally teaching and showing me like everything I pretty much needed to know about post-production. Shout out to Rhys Davis and his lovely dog Bryn for getting me through my post-production course.
What's been one of your best career highlights or achievements so far?
Being a finalist in the 16 Days 16 Films Festival. It was just so unexpected. Like, everything had gone wrong with my original idea. I was ill at the time I was submitting it as well. I felt like I sort of put it all together last minute, and for them to actually come back and say, hey, this is decent, was just mind-blowing to me. And it was just a lovely experience, the night itself, like going to Channel 4 headquarters and meeting all these lovely like-minded filmmakers. Whilst I was at the BBC, I ended up working on Horrible Histories YouTube channel, which I had loved growing up. It was my favourite show. I was mildly obsessed, and it felt so surreal to think, you know, 14-year-old me would be watching Horrible Histories, but then 22-year-old me was like actually editing it for YouTube.
What's been one of the biggest learning curves for you during your career, and what did you learn from this?
Whilst working on Operation Ouch, the client had come and asked us to basically put together a big batch of, I think it ended up being like 93 or 97 clips from the show, and they were going to be used on the Australian network ABC on television. So that was like obviously quite exciting opportunity to work on. However, there ended up being quite a bit of back and forth because there was just a lot of problems came up. Like the file format ended up being wrong to start with, and then it turned out I'd exported all like 93 or 97 in the wrong audio format, so it couldn't be broadcast. So what should have been about a week-long project turned into a month-long sort of cleanup. So it wasn't my best performance, and it was just a big learning curve, because from now going forward, if a client sends over something, like now I like triple check, like, is this the correct format? Like, is this what you're after? Before I go through the whole process of like exporting it and saving it and formatting everything.
What's your ultimate career goal?
Be an editor on a full-length feature film, because I think that'd be like a really exciting project to work on, and it's just like a sort of childhood dream of mine, really.
What practical advice do you have for young women who aspire to get into TV?
I mentioned this last time we spoke as well, TC, and I've sort of coined the term now, is to politely pester potential employers, potential contacts, and that could be just, you know, a few nicely worded emails over a length of time. It could be, you know, following different social medias and like befriending certain people and certain contacts within the industry, and sort of just slowly building up a bit of a spiderweb network of people that you could potentially go to. And you know, I had it a lot throughout university and afterwards, where I'd go to all sorts of interviews and I'd email all sorts of people and all sorts of companies, but if you sort of politely pestered, I'd normally get quite a positive response rather than like, oh, go away. Because even if that person couldn't offer me something then, like 9 times out of 10 they'd at least say they'd bear me in mind for next time. Or what I found really useful was they'd sort of put me on to someone else who they know and who was also looking for someone. And then so that's again where the sort of network connections really come in handy, because it's a bit of an industry where everyone sort of knows everyone.
Thank you so much for joining me in today's Career Corner, Olivia. It's been great having you.
Yeah, it's been great hearing from you too. Thanks a lot for having me on. See ya.